Let me start with a hard truth. Chasing validation from others, especially in dating, will drain your power. Many men lose themselves trying to prove they're worthy. But the moment you stop seeking approval and start investing that energy into your own life, that's when everything changes. Here are 6 key ideas to own that shift. The moment a man stops living to be chosen by others and starts choosing himself, his entire reality begins to change. Many men spend years chasing approval, whether it's from women, friends, family, or society. They mold their actions, their words, and even their appearance around the hope of being accepted. But in doing so, they often disconnect from their own values, desires, and sense of purpose. It's a quiet form of self-abandonment. The truth is, the most magnetic men are not the ones trying to fit in or gain favor. They are the ones who stand firm in who they are, unapologetically. When you start choosing yourself, you begin to operate from a place of strength rather than need. You no longer need to compromise your standards just to be liked. You no longer seek validation in every interaction. Instead, your life becomes about living with intent, pursuing goals, nurturing your mental and physical health, and building a life that excites you. That kind of man becomes naturally attractive, not just to women, but to the world. He radiates a quiet confidence that can't be faked because it's rooted in authenticity. Choosing yourself also means knowing when to walk away from situations that don't serve you. You stop tolerating disrespect, mixed signals, or emotional games. You understand that your time and energy are valuable, and you won't waste them proving your worth to someone who can't see it. Ironically, this shift often causes people to chase you more. Why? Because self-respect is rare, and rare is powerful. In a world where many bend for attention, the man who stands tall draws the most eyes. When you choose yourself, you no longer chase. You become the one others want to keep up with. Many men enter relationships hoping that their effort, loyalty, and love will be enough to earn lasting commitment. But reality often reveals a hard truth. Emotional investment is not always reciprocated equally. In today's dating world, many women have options. Social media, dating apps, and cultural shifts have made attention abundant and easily accessible. For some women, the thrill of attention can become more valuable than the depth of connection. As a result, even good men, kind, stable, emotionally available, can find themselves overlooked or underappreciated. This isn't to say that all women lack the ability to form deep, committed connections. But it is a wake-up call to stop over-investing in people who aren't truly invested in you. If your love, time, and presence are not being respected or valued, then staying in that dynamic only drains your self-worth. When someone constantly needs to be chased, convinced, or entertained to stay, it's not love. It's dependency on validation. Men must recognize when their emotional energy is being taken for granted. Chasing someone who doesn't reciprocate only breeds resentment, insecurity, and self-doubt. Instead, it's essential to channel that energy into your own growth. Focus on your goals, your craft, and your peace of mind. People are drawn to those who are fulfilled and self-sufficient. If a woman truly values you, she won't need to be begged or persuaded to stay. She'll show up consistently because she sees your worth without being reminded. And if she doesn't, then your job is not to prove her wrong. It's to walk away with your dignity intact. Emotional energy is one of the most valuable currencies you have. Spend it where it multiplies, not where it disappears. One of the most overlooked but powerful realizations a man can have is that peace of mind is more valuable than companionship. In many modern dating dynamics, men are often encouraged, explicitly or subtly, to sacrifice their time, identity, and emotional balance in hopes of earning love. But when a relationship constantly disrupts your sense of peace, forces you into endless confusion, or leaves you second-guessing your worth, it becomes more of a burden than a bond. Too many men ignore the warning signs. They stay in situations, where they're constantly walking on eggshells trying to decode mixed signals or competing for validation. Over time, this emotional tug-of-war chips away at confidence, drains ambition, and dims a man's natural spark. That's when you must ask yourself a hard question. Is this really worth it? The truth is, your peace is priceless. No romantic high can compare to waking up with clarity, feeling focused, and knowing you're not being emotionally manipulated. A healthy relationship should add to your life, not complicate it. But many modern dating situations are filled with emotional games, superficial values, and a constant fear of being replaced. This is why stepping back and detaching can be so powerful. When you stop chasing and start prioritizing your mental and emotional well-being, everything shifts. You begin to attract healthier interactions, make sharper decisions, and regain control over your life. You stop operating from desperation and start moving with confidence. Peace is not just the absence of conflict, it's the presence of self-control, discipline, and self-respect. And the moment you make that your standard, you'll quickly realize how much time and energy you wasted trying to impress people who didn't even value themselves, let alone you. Let peace be your non-negotiable. In today's dating world, many men feel like they're always one mistake away from being replaced. That's because the illusion of abundance, fueled by social media and dating apps, creates a mindset where loyalty is fragile and options seem endless. When a man gives his all, his time, his resources, his attention, only to be treated as disposable, the realization hits hard. No matter how much you invest, it doesn't guarantee lasting value in someone else's eyes. This creates a dangerous imbalance where men give more and expect less in return, hoping to be chosen simply by being consistent and good-hearted. But here's the truth. Being a good man isn't enough in a world where excitement often outweighs stability. Many women are addicted to emotional stimulation rather than emotional security. That means the guy who keeps things real, who stays calm, who shows up consistently, often gets overlooked in favor of the one who brings chaos, mystery, or even drama. The result? Men who genuinely care get burned out, disappointed, and disillusioned. That's when a man starts to pull back, not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom. He begins to realize that his energy is sacred, that pouring it into someone who doesn't see his worth isn't noble, it's foolish. He starts observing more, speaking less, and protecting his peace as his highest priority. And with that shift, he becomes harder to manipulate, harder to mislead, and much harder to replace. Detaching from the belief that your value depends on someone else's recognition is a powerful step towards self-ownership. You're not here to audition for approval. The moment you understand that, you stop giving away your power and start living with purpose. You walk differently, you speak differently, and suddenly the game changes because you've stopped playing by their rules. One of the most significant realizations a man can have in today's dating landscape is that peace is more valuable than companionship. Too many men stay in situations that drain them emotionally just to avoid being alone. But being alone is not the same as being lonely. In fact, solitude often becomes the very environment where a man finds his power again. When you step away from people or dynamics that constantly test your worth, you begin to rebuild what matters most: your focus, your discipline, and your direction. There comes a point where you stop chasing validation and start protecting your mental and emotional space like your life depends on it, because in a way it does. Toxic relationships and constant emotional turbulence rob you of clarity. They keep you second-guessing yourself and wasting energy trying to fix what was never yours to fix. Walking away from that chaos is not weakness. It's maturity. It's the awareness that no connection is worth losing yourself over. As you distance yourself from the noise, you begin to see how much time you wasted trying to prove you were enough for someone who didn't even value consistency, loyalty, or emotional presence. And once you reclaim that time and energy, you start pouring it into your goals, your fitness, your finances, and your mental sharpness. The results speak for themselves. You feel lighter, clearer, and more driven. Eventually, you get to a place where peace becomes your new standard. You no longer tolerate anything or anyone that threatens it. If a woman brings value, support, and harmony, great. If not, you're unbothered. That's not cold, it's wisdom. Because the man who values his peace over temporary affection becomes the man who lives with real power, and from that position he stops settling and starts choosing. Modern relationships are often built on illusions, especially with the influence of social media and the constant pursuit of image over substance. Many men enter relationships expecting loyalty, partnership, and genuine connection, only to realize that the values they were raised with are no longer universally held. The harsh reality is that many people, including women, are conditioned today to chase validation, attention, and temporary highs rather than long-term commitment or emotional depth. This creates a disconnect between what men expect and what actually unfolds in many modern dating experiences. When a man begins to notice that no matter how much he provides, invests emotionally, or stays loyal, he is often treated as replaceable. Something shifts inside him. It's not about becoming bitter. It's about becoming smarter. The man who used to break his back trying to please and provide starts asking himself the critical question: what am I getting in return? And, too often, the answer is stress, uncertainty, and emotional manipulation. That's when many men come to the conclusion that most relationships today simply aren't worth the cost. This realization doesn't mean giving up on love or connection. It means raising your standards. It means walking away from situations that drain you instead of fulfill you. It means no longer tolerating games, disrespect, or disloyalty just because you're afraid of being alone. The modern man is learning that his peace, progress, and potential are too valuable to trade for short-lived affection. So when you hear men say, women aren't even worth it anymore, it's not about hating women, it's about rejecting a broken system that punishes loyalty and rewards emotional chaos. It's about choosing to protect your mind, your time, and your legacy. And in doing that, you finally start living for yourself, not for anyone else's approval.